Welcome to the best of first-person episodes from Phantoms and Monsters. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified of all future uploads.
Black upright canine roams university grounds near Sofia, Bulgaria. I'm a guy in my 20s. I'm quite tall, 193 centimeters, 6'4", and train kickboxing. My career choice is quite physically straining because I'm a vet student. There isn't much that scares me, and I'm usually an intimidating dude. My university is on top of a hill and outside of the city of Sofia, Bulgaria. From my dorm window on the 7th floor, I can see huge wheat fields and the nearby forest. My first encounter was last year in late summer 2019. I have a German Shepherd, Hades, and a husky pup, Ragnar. That day I left university quite late. It was already dark outside. Usually, I don't mind taking them out at night. At night I can let them run without their leashes. They are trained and I know they are going to listen to me. Besides, I knew everyone knew them and wouldn't hurt them even if they were left outside. They have collars that light up since Hades is fully black and Ragnar is fully white, which makes it hard to see him during the winter. I could see them all the time. We walked for a while and they were playing and running around. At some point, Hades stopped and started growling, looking into the wheat fields down the hill. I didn't think about it. There are bats, owls, and other critters around us. I leashed them, not wanting to run after them if they decided to chase something. After half an hour of non-stop growling, I had enough of it and decided to take Hades home and go out so Ragnar can run a bit more. I got home and expected him to go in his cage. He likes sleeping there and I never locked them. That night though, all he did was stand on the window looking out. Since the pup was whining wanting to go out again, I tried to drag Hades in the cage and lock him in until I got back. Who knew, maybe he might try going out the window. I got a look out the window. On the parking below I saw a black figure circling the cars. Thinking that it might be someone trying to steal something, I got a flashlight and shone at it. It wasn't a thief. It wasn't human at all. It looked up, its eyes reflecting the light from the flashlight. It was black, its head looking very similar to Hades. It was standing on all fours, but when I shone the light it stood up. The roofs of the cars were barely reaching its midsection. It let out a growl, which I later learned that many of the tenants have heard. Hades went wild trying to bust out of the cage. Ragnar was whining even louder. I realized he didn't want to go out, he was trying to get as far away from the window as possible. The growl made me flinch and I dropped the flashlight through the window. I tried to see it again, but it was too dark. I heard the crunching of snow as it left. The next morning I went to find my flashlight and found huge dog-like footprints in the snow and a foul smell still lingering. I borrowed infrared binoculars from a hunter friend of mine. Ever since then I have seen it 4 times in the forest, twice crossing the field and once come near the hill looking up. I and my roommate have been taking turns keeping watch at night when Hades starts growling. I don't take the dogs out at night and Ragnar doesn't play and run around anymore. He just stays pressed against my feet. I hope he grows out of it. W.
Morbach Werewolf, the actual events. In 1988 I was the assigned security supervisor for the Winitjarath munitions storage area. Although it was just on the other side of the village of Winitjarath in Germany, we called it Morbach. We were assigned to Hahn Air Base and not Morbach. Morbach isn't even a base, it is a town just down the road on the B327. As we drove through Winitjarath, I was driving the bus. Some of the guys noticed that the candle in the shrine was not lit, and there was a full moon. We all knew of the local Morbach werewolf legend. We sort of just laughed about it. When we first came on duty, my patrols would do a sweep of their assigned sectors. As I was in the security trailer with the security controller, radio dispatch, reading the previous shift's logs, one of my foot patrols found 3 dead deer within one of the wooded areas, and radioed us. When I arrived on scene I noticed that their throats were damaged, and 2 had their entrails and hindquarters eaten along with what appeared to be their internal organs, liver, heart. We did have wild boar in and out of the area, and these were a small barking deer species. We placed a call to the local forest meister so he could remove the deer carcasses. I went back to the security control trailer to phone the base on the incident. After that I radioed all patrols for an area briefing at control. As the patrols rolled in we heard a low-level, but loud growl howl, coming from the direction of our only alarmed structures to the west of our location. I radioed the foot patrol assigned to that area since they were still en route. As I did, they came running out of the darkness yelling, "Did you guys hear that?" About that time it howled again. Low, deep, long and loud. It sounded like it was within our fence line. I called the entry control point to see if they had permitted any canine patrols in the area. They said no and also reported the howling. One of the guys said, "What if it's the werewolf?" We all kind of giggled, but then it howled again. This time from the center of the site, but this howl was unreal. It vibrated you inside. Hard to describe. I called the base and updated them that we had a breach of some kind of animal. Sounded like a large dog or possibly a wild animal. They stated that the Forestmeister had been called and was on his way. I asked the patrols if they wanted me to turn on the area lighting. They said no. The area lighting usually made matters worse since they cast too many shadows and ruined your night vision. As it was with the full moon we could see pretty good. I issued night vision scopes to 2 of the patrol leaders. They mounted on our M16s. I informed them that they did not have permission to lock and load. Since it was peacetime we carried our weapons with a loaded magazine, weapon on safe and no round in the chamber. When it was about to get noisy, lock and load meant to charge your weapon and get ready to rock and roll, baby. I took one of the foot patrols with me, strengthened numbers, and headed to the perimeter in case it tried to circle my guys. I went by the fallen deer to show the patrol. When we got there I noticed that the 3rd deer had also been snacked on. I immediately called all the patrols. It had come back and fed on the 3rd deer. About that time one of the mounted patrol's vehicle had made contact and was pursuing a large dark canine. We ran in a circular route as to try to outflank whatever it was they were chasing. The entry gate radioed me saying that our canine patrol had arrived. I had them dispatched to the western fence line since that's where we were all going. The pursuing patrol radioed that it was turning towards the command trailer. Here's a funny part. Alpha Control radioed that he was locking down and wasn't opening the door till daylight. I took the foot patrol and headed to the fence line, since we had 2 patrols going to control. The canine patrol was already there, and I dispatched him to the alarm structures to stand by. I did this since they were between control and the perimeter fence. When we got to the fence I put one of the guys near the fence line, and I with the patrol leader headed to a small hill to overwatch his position. I asked for status reports because I could hear a lot of yelling. They said it was coming toward us. I radioed control to turn on our sector's lighting. Our area was mostly open with trees on the right side. We switched off our scopes and in that instant that we reached to turn off the units our guy on the fence started screaming. We turned in time to see a huge dark mass clear our 9-foot fence. It quickly faded from our perimeter lighting into the darkness. I asked for the area lighting to be turned off. I walked further up to the hill and switched on my night scope. I looked in the direction it had run. Since the magnification was weak I really didn't expect to see anything, then I saw it. It was leaned up against a tree looking at us on its hind legs, breathing heavily. I yelled 2 o'clock 200 meters. Then it turned and faded into the trees. Only one other patrol leader saw it. It was now 2:30 a.m. The Forestmeister arrived at the entry gate. I had to sign him in. I asked the canine unit to foot patrol the fence, but the dog had retreated to his kennel and would not come out. I put all units back on active patrol and to remain extra vigilant. As I escorted the Forestmeister to the dead deer, I explained what had happened. He listened carefully and seemed to be absorbing it all in. He took pictures of the deer for records, then bagged the bodies. He said that it didn't appear to be the work of wild boar. It had all the markings of a wolf attack. He said wolves usually didn't kill their prey, they usually died from shock and blood loss. They would knock it down and start eating the hindquarters with the animals still alive. This one killed them, then ate them as evidenced by the neck injuries. I asked if they could jump 9-foot fence. He said this one could and laughed. The guys were jazzed to say the least. We had a group meeting around 4 a.m. I said that I needed written reports by the shift's end at 6:30, so to take turns patrolling. Alpha 2 command trailer opened his door even though it was still dark out. I remember sitting there sipping some coffee saying, "Are they going to believe this?" He said we were all going to piss in the bottle. That meant a urine analysis to see if we were on drugs. We laughed about it. When we got back to the armory I was pulled aside by my flight chief and shift commander. I briefed them on what had happened. My flight chief asked me to take home the statements and proofread them first, then to turn them in before Gordmount. When I arrived I noticed that the roster had been amended. We were all going back to Morbach. It was very rare to have the same patrol twice, let alone the entire area. On the bus ride out there we were pretty much quiet. I stopped the bus at the altar to make sure the candle were lit and the old guy awake. Thumbs up. The flight chief showed up around midnight, and we had a powwow. He said we had two choices. We could turn in the statements but omit the werewolf references, or shred the statements, and have me write in the logbook that a wild animal had killed some deer in the wooded area behind the ammo building, and that the forestmeister had been dispatched, end of story. As we all looked at each other, he stated that our PRP would be called into question. PRP is a program that enables us to work around nuclear resources. To lose your PRP cast a dark cloud over you, plus you got crap details while you were being reevaluated. Took up to 45 days. So we opted for the later. Some of us choose not to talk about it, but obviously some did. It really happened. It wasn't some story to scare the Jeeps. Jeeps are FNGS, rookies, etc. Was it a werewolf? Was it an endangered European wolf? Was it a coincidence that the candle was out that night of a full moon? You decide. As for me, I'll say this. The above statement is true to the best of my knowledge. D.
This is Lon Strickler. If you like this program, it would help us if you would give it a thumbs up. Then subscribe and click the bell icon so you get notification when we upload new first-person encounters. We have many more to come very soon. And by the way, if you have a suggestion or an experience of your own, please leave a comment.